Excellencies, Minister here, colleagues from the UN family, wonderful children of Africa. Good morning. Every year, Your Excellency, between 4,000 and 5,000 startups are founded, most of them by young people. Up to 80% of them fail to reach the stage of investment. And that results in a lot of lost jobs, lost capital, broken hearts. Whenever I think about young people and the startups of Africa, I think about the story of my own mother. I grew up in a small town in Zimbabwe. It's called Kadoma. My mother was a greengrocer. She used to sell tomatoes for us to survive. My mother went to every bank in town trying to find some capital to develop her business. She was young, under 40. She had a 12-year-old to look after. But like many informal businesses in town, especially those run by women, no bank would take a chance on her. And her business failed to grow to the potential that it could have. Eventually, she had to give up on part of her dream. Thinking back, my mother would have benefited immensely from a banking system that understands Africa, that understands some of the conditions that informal businesses in Africa, and especially those run by young people of Africa, operate in. Instead, her business stayed small. Her dreams stayed small. Mainly just her and me. During school holidays, Your Excellency, I would join my mother in her journeys through the suburbs with a big dish of tomatoes on my head to deliver tomatoes. To my mind, my mother invented vuba vuba and Uber before it became fashionable. We used to keep very good notes on our customers. My mother knew her customers very well. Long before the banks even invented Know Your Customer, my mother was doing it. But all of that did not come to fruition. And times were hard, and getting harder, especially for a woman during that time. The currency was losing value. And eventually, as conditions became difficult, she had to scale down her business. By the time we got the environment right, the big supermarkets had taken over her business. Now I'm reminded of my mother's story when I look at the state of young people and their ambitions in Africa today. Like my mother then, young people do not have access to the funding that they need to be able to run their businesses. Up to 42% of young people fail to get that funding. Like my mother, sometimes those young people, their dreams remain a hobby. They are unable to scale the challenge between their dream and going to the market, getting the first 100 customers. And they do not have access to mentorship. The best businesses in the world are those who are able to understand detail and to be able to put a pitch deck that will wow everybody. They do not have access to that. Yet this is a thing that we can solve, Your Excellency. And I'm so delighted that with your leadership, Your Excellency, Rwanda is leading the world. I take inspiration from this story, your president, when I look at Africa's prospects. Africa's prosperity needs supercharging with youth as an engine for growth. We can harness the power of Africa's youth, of everybody in here, when we have support offers that enable the best ideas to grow to scale. That is the basic bargain that we can give to our children, the youth of Africa. Now, my mother did not manage to build a strong business. She built a strong enough business which supported her family. And although she did not live long enough to witness it, today, the son that she supported through school is the resident representative of the United Nations Development Program here in Rwanda. There are many such stories, and I'm glad that we have your leadership to improve on those stories. Thank you.